Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about the Numenera WUBRG campaign, Season 1, gold player playing Blackout, a human who wakes up in Onyx Station on the Numenera world. And actually, the Numenera world is not the Numenera world. It's Earth 1 billion years in the future. It's our Earth. It's here, right? And I really love that. So this is Monty Cook, and he was a Dungeons & Dragons designer. He battled during the creation of Dungeons & Dragons 5e with Mike Merles and lost. I've actually talked to him directly about that. I asked him, hey, what happened? He's like, oh, we just had different opinions. I think there's a book that could be written about that, and I think he's hiding some information personally. But I very much like Numenera, and I love that, and this is something that critically divides Numenera from Dungeons & Dragons is Dungeons & Dragons doesn't happen on Earth. Earth is, our IRL Earth is canon to Dungeons & Dragons, but it happens on these other worlds. Whereas Numenera is literally happening on Earth. And so we're going to get into that in today's part of me sharing this section. So Blackout leaves Onyx Station. He meets the Brambles. He meets the Corvin. Then he meets the Servant, okay? And at this point, the Servant say, hey, you are the Sunak's witness. You're a big deal. And he's like, I don't remember any of that. And they're like, well, put your face in this bowl of magical liquid and you will remember. And so at that point, our entire game shifted to Bearcats, okay? So let me explain what Bearcats is. So Bearcats is a fantastic product by Runehammer Games, and it was built for exactly this, right? So one of the things is I had to think about Blackout. I was like, okay, he's waking up. What is his past? Like, what is the secret around him? And so what I realized is I think the secret around him is that his team of 7 people, he was on a team, and they fought the Sunaks when they came. They fought the first contact invasion of humanity. The aliens, where all the alien tech on the Numenera world are coming from, they were defeated. But there was a time when they came and they were attacking the world directly, and there were humans who fought them. And Blackout was part of that resistance against the alien invasion. And so I realized I wanted that. Then I was like, okay, I need to build an alien invasion, right? And so I would need to, think, what are these aliens like? Why are they attacking humanity? And then what is their equipment, right? Now that's a lot of work, right? And I will do that work if it hasn't been done better, but it has already been done better, and that is Bearcats. So Runehammer Games makes index card RPG, and they make this product called Bearcats. It is one of the number 1 sleepers in the world for amazing tabletop role-playing game products that exist that nobody know about, right? Okay, so what Bearcats is a complete kit, right? So it takes place in this city called Fairview, and all of this is going to drop right into our Numenera campaign, okay? So it takes place in this place called Fairview, right? Now, Fairview is a John Mellencamp American Rust Belt town, right, in the 1980s, right? And really what Bearcats is, if you're paying attention, Bearcats is Red Dawn if the Russians are replaced with aliens, right? Now, I call these aliens the Sunaks. In Bearcats, they're called the Invaders, which is great because it's very generic. You can drop it in anywhere you want. But the reason to get Bearcats is it is so, it's Red Dawn if the Russians are just aliens, right? And so the students are in high school, and they're daydreaming and looking out, because they don't want to pay attention to geometry. And the aliens just start dropping from the sky, right? And attacking them directly, right? And then, your student is going to run out, get in his pickup truck, and choose who he picks up and saves, and who he drives away from and lets dies, right, by the alien invaders. It's really wild, right? And it just goes from there. So now I have Bearcats. Bearcats presents the aliens, the skellies, the juggers, the spiders, the relays, the alphas, right? And it explains all of their equipment and explains their lore, and it presents them as a very cool, very dangerous alien presence, right? Better than anything I could do, right? So I don't mind doing work to create a new world if it hasn't been done better, right? And Bearcats is flawless. It is absolutely flawless, right? So the Sunaks exist within this Bearcats, right? And so they have what I need to attack Blackout as a young human male, right? So good. That's everything I need there, right? But then where it goes from there is, so I'm like, okay, wait. So how do I fit in a 1980s city into Numenera? Okay. So first of all, we're already past 1980. So, I can't use regular America straight, right? Because this is our Earth. It's not an alternate Earth. It's our Earth, right? And I think that's I like to preserve what's cool in the game. You don't want to deconstruct somebody else's cool work, right? Monty Cook made this our IRL Earth. I love that, right? I love it. So I want to preserve that, right? So what I did was I said, okay, now you put your face into the bowl as Blackout. You now remember you're 17 years old and you're in Fairview, okay? Now, where is Fairview? The year is 3600 on Earth. Earth has gone out to the stars, and it has populated stations all the way from Mars all the way to Pluto. It also has a colony on the moon, and it has a colony on Mars with 1 billion people. And it has terraformed moons of Jupiter, and specifically this one is Io. So Fairview is on the moon of Jupiter, Io. Now, why does it look like the 1980s? Well, a billionaire created it that way to look like the 1980s, and the reason why is his daughter is fascinated with the 1980s. Like, she's very vintage. His young daughter has a very high interest in 1980s America, right? So he built this colony to look like that, right? And then she goes and she visits during the winter from Earth, right? And that's literally the whole reason it exists, right? Now, he's actually mining stuff on that planet away from Fairview, and also he's storing some things. So, he's a businessman, so he's doing more than that. But that's the main purpose of it, right? And so, and all the tech and it's essentially like a themed periodical getaway vacation spot, right? But there's literally a town there, right? And there's 500 townies, and there's 200 Fairview high school students. There's 17 teachers, and there's 17 Bearcats, which is the American Gridiron football team. And Blackout is a 17-year-old wide receiver on the Bearcats. And so I was like, let's build your thing, right? Because we now need to build literally an entirely new character sheet. And this is pretty cool, right? And it starts back. And so he's a tier 1 clever Jack who moves like a cat. But now we're moving him back, and he's talented wide receiver who passes every test. So I was like, so are you, and I didn't say, hey, you're a Bearcat. I was like, hey, you're in this town. Are you, a nerd who's good at calculus but has a good friend? Or are you the quarterback on this team? And so I love it. The goal player's like, I'm a talented football player who's also super smart and is good at academics. That does exist. It's extremely rare. I think Tim Tebow was like that, right? And so I was like, bet, you're in, bud. That's just great, right? So he is a talented wide receiver on the Bearcats who passes his tests, right? And then at this point, we literally start with on the gridiron football field, and him running down the field to catch a pass and seeing orange and yellow. And what he sees is he's seeing a jugger, which is the first alien invader to show up on Fairview, right? And so he looks to his right, he sees the first alien invader, and he's like, hey, everybody, and he points, he's like, that looks like an alien invader, right? Like, he says it more differently than that. But that's where we're going to cut it off there. I'll continue in my next video. Thank you so much for letting me share this with you. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider like subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.